Hey guys, so I decided to make a video for Talk It Out Tuesday about my coming out story. It's the first video I've ever made about it. I made some mistakes when I was coming out that I wish I could have done differently. But, you know, it is what it is now, and everybody's kind of moving forward from that. So when I first realized that I was trans, the first person I came out to was my grandpa. I usually go and I talk to him about everything. So I kind of was talking to him about how, like, I didn't necessarily feel comfortable in my body, and I think that I might be trans, but I'm not really sure. Like, it's always felt like I wasn't comfortable, and, he was really, really supportive. He suggested that I start taking steps to go to somebody and start talking about it, figuring things out. Um, and then he actually told my grandma for me, and he explained it into a way where she kind of was able to understand it. And then I talked to my grandparents about coming out to my dad. My parents are split up, so I came out to my dad and my stepmom. I mainly came out to my dad first. I kind of was like, "Hey, Dad, like, this is what's going on. I don't really feel comfortable. I'm struggling with my gender identity." I didn't fully come out as trans to him right away, and I think he had a hard time understanding what I was trying to say, and he felt like it was a phase, that it was going to pass, that he felt like it was an external thing, that it was like people around me influencing how I felt about myself, when in reality it's an internal thing. I sat down and I talked to him, and we worked that out, so he understands that it's comes from me, comes from the inside, um, and it has nothing to do with the people around me influencing who I want to be and how. Um, yeah. So then, um, I wish I would have, handled coming out to them a lot better. I wasn't exactly the most open and honest when I started hormones. I kind of hid that I had started T from them, and I wish I wouldn't have. Some things happened that maybe wouldn't have happened, but overall, we're working towards them accepting it and being supportive. I mean, they're supportive. I guess maybe so they're supportive, but I don't know if they necessarily fully understand what's going on. Um, so we're just working on that. But it's terrifying coming out. I was super, super scared. All I remember is being super, super scared. Um, and it was a big thing. Like, I thought that I was going to break them and shatter their world and hurt their feelings. So I was dealing with a lot of those feelings. Like, I didn't want to ruin the family. I felt guilty. But I mean, it came out, and it is what it is, and now we're in a better place, and we're all kind of moving forward, which is nice. And then I actually recently came out to my mom and my mom's side of the family. My grandma on my mom's side is very, very old school, traditional, um, Asian. So she is straight from Japan, so she is not super understanding slash accepting. Um, but I actually, but she's working on it, which is nice. I actually had my uncle, who I've been very, very close with my entire life, tell my mom and tell my grandma, because I was too afraid to do it myself. I was I mean, I've never had a very close relationship with my mom, so I was afraid again of, like, what she would think, that she would never love me, that she would disown me. And because my grandma is very, very traditional, I was afraid that she would disown me too. So I had a lot of fear coming out to my mom's side of the family. But I talked to my uncle. I came out to my uncle, and he was like, you got to do what makes you happy, and we love you for you, so we're going to just have to learn to accept it. He's like, you can't stop living your life. to please everybody else. And he actually made the offer to tell them for me. He said that he would talk to my mom and talk to my grandma and tell them for me if I wanted him to. And I ended up taking him up on his offer. I thought it was easier for them to hear it from my uncle than to hear it from me, because I was hiding out for a very, very long time. I wasn't seeing them, I wasn't talking to them, and I had started hormones, and had been on hormones for about 6 months before even coming out. So I thought that it was better if he just told them and kind of explained the situation and left the option of reaching out to me open to them. So he sat down and he talked to my mom and my grandma, told them what was going on, and told them that if they had any questions or if they wanted to talk to me and better understand what was going on, that I was open and willing to communicate with them. They just had to call me, because I didn't want to feel like I was pushing them to talk about something that they might not necessarily be ready to talk about. Everybody takes their own time to react. So I found out that my uncle and my mother had actually had a couple of separate conversations about it before she reached out to me. She also works with a trans woman, and she went and talked to her about her transition and like how she felt and what she should do and what she should say to make sure that when we talk, there wasn't any sort of disrespect, and she was being respectful of who I am as a person, and she didn't want to offend me, which was huge for my mom, like absolutely huge, because that's just not who she's been my entire life. And to see that she made that change, and it gave me new hope for a better relationship with her. So she's actually, come a long way, I think. I talked to her, and then she was like, I talked to a lady at work who's going through the same thing. She's transitioning from male to female, and she kind of said the same things that you did, so I might not understand it, but I can respect you, and as long as you're happy, I'm happy. She was like, let me read up on some resources, let me do some of my own reading, let me do some of my own research to understand it, and if I have questions, I'll reach out to you and ask you. And she was like, let's just keep in touch, don't run away, like, it's okay. Like, I'm okay with who you are, just give me some time to adjust, which was a huge relief for me, because I know that I had been stressing out about it like no other. I was so afraid of what she would think. And then I guess my uncle said that my grandma was like, oh, what's it matter to us? Like, why are you telling us this, I don't know if that's like, I'm still waiting to hear from my grandma. I don't know if she'll ever talk to me, but I think that she'll eventually come around. I'm hoping that all she has to do is, take her own time to understand it. It's probably, I know it's shocking for everybody in my family. That's the one thing they say every single time. It's shocking, but we still love you. We accept you. Just give us time to adjust. That's all that they ask. So I think coming out to my family, while there were some hiccups, it went fairly smoothly. I'm not going to go into into depth about some of the things, just because they're really, really personal, and I don't think my family would like me putting that out there on the internet. I'm just going to say that I made some mistakes, and I wish I would have handled it a little bit better, but it is what it is, and we've moved forward from there, and things are good. Coming out of work, yikes, that's been a struggle. I told my boss, and I basically explained to him what was going on, and he said, okay. And then he was like, well, when you're ready, we can take it, to the next level. We can let everybody, all the higher-ups know. And so, like, I told him that recently, and he talked to one of the managers, and it's kind of just been at a standstill. I kind of wanted to talk to the managers, address them, and be like, hey, this is what's going on. This is what I would like. All that I ask is that you're respectful of my decision and my life. But that meeting has yet to happen, and I honestly don't know if it will. So it's a struggle at work, dealing with like dealing with misgendering and bathroom situations. I usually hold it until I go out on break, and I can use like a family restroom, one stall bathroom, and then I'll hold it again until I get home. So that's not exactly ideal, but I mean, it is what it is. You know, my coworkers know, my boss knows. That's about all I can do at work until the higher ups are willing to listen. And I don't want to be pushy, so I haven't really been pushing it. Um, and then coming out to my friends was actually probably the easiest thing to do. Coming out to I would say, out of everybody I've had to come out to, coming out to my friends was the easiest. I was like, okay, look, guys, you know, this is what's been going on. This is what's going to be happening. Like, I'm going to be changing. All that I ask is that you guys are respectful of it. Like, I was terrified. Don't get me wrong. I was scared that I was going to lose my friends. I feel like transitioning is one of those situations where you find out who your true friends are. They'll stick by you no matter what. And all my friends were like, okay, you know, it's not a big deal. Whatever makes you happy makes us happy. Like, we aren't going to disown you or anything. They're like, you know, just let us know when you want us to start referring to you with different pronouns, different names, stuff like that. So they've been super supportive, and I'm super thankful to have them, even though I don't get to see them that often because I'm busy with work, school, and all of the other things in life. But they were super supportive, and they still are super supportive, and all that they ask, again, like everybody else that I've come out to, all that they ask is to have time to adjust. They're like, you know, just give us time to adjust. Like, changing how we refer to you isn't going to be easy, but we'll make the effort to do it. So, I mean, that's basically my coming out story. It's pretty basic. There's nothing. I mean, it was terrifying, but at the same time, it's just something that I knew I had to do, to move my life forward. And now that it's done, it's done. I don't have to do it again, which is super, super nice. You know, if you guys have any questions about coming out or anything, feel free to contact either myself or Drew on Support Your Brothers. We have an email set up. I'll put the link to the email below. I'll put the link to the blog below. I'll put both links to our personal blogs below. And I mean, feel free to ask for advice. Feel free to come up to us with questions. If you want one of us to do a video on something, reach out and let us know so we can do it. We're here to help, and we're here to share our stories, and here to provide a safe place for you guys. Thanks, as always, for watching, and I hope that it was helpful. I know it's kind of my coming out story isn't that great, but thanks for watching again. Like I said, again, feel free to reach out to us for any advice, questions, comments, whatever. We're here to help.